no, it's different. You gotta run. Oh no, it got him.
Growing up, my mother always told me, stop watching scary movies because one day you're going to be terrified. Well, let me tell you, today was the day I was terrified. All I know is the lady kept saying, I'm hungry. Can you please feed me? She saw a possum walking by and she said, ma'am, can you give me the possum? The lady handed her the possum, right? When she handed her the possum, tell me why like 2,000 worms came out of her stomach. I was like, oh my God, this is terrifying. The worms are called death worms. They are from Mongolian desert and they're like 2 to 3 foot long. I was like, wow, that is very interesting. Well, let me give you a little history about them. In 11th century, these desert worms came. They were discovered underground. They did not have nowhere to go and no home. They were terrified. They didn't know what to do. So you know what they done? They decided that humans were their escape way. So know what they did? They end up using humans as their feces to start living and to start having homes because they had nowhere else to go. So they created a game, and the game was called Monsters and Death Worms Rise in the Death. They were terrified. Humans are all running all over the place trying to figure out where to go because these death worms were so harmless and they were so harmful to others and other people that they can even kill you. These creatures are very scary. They have red little sliver of skin that bolts out yellow vomit. The vomit divides the body into 2 people so that they can hunt their prey and get their prey throughout the way. These worms are meant to be underground. Only reason why these worms surfaced the earth and the only reason why they were discovered as knowing what they were, no one knows where they came from or where they came from. But all they know that these death worms are supposed to be underground. They're supposed to be underground, declaring species and everything else, which they're not doing. So now what they discovered is that death worms are only using human species as living stock, and humans is because they ran out of food supply. So their food chain and man. So now death worms cannot see and they cannot hear, but they also can use their sense and vision to find out where you're at. You cannot detect a death worm. Death worms are not undetected. People don't know where they came from and where they exist. Well, let me tell you, they came from East Africa, where they were discovered because of their food chain population had deflated. When they had deflated, they didn't have the opportunity to have worms, so they determined to get some. People were terrified. There was a people that were being attacked in the VR in the desert due to the fact that they were in the desert. They didn't know where they were at, where they were going. They're on their 4-wheelers where they could not have any more gas and determined that these death worms were coming to get them. So therefore, the lady started hitting the death worm. She kept hitting it back to back, kept hitting with stuff. And what we found out is death worms attacked their whole entire pack, where they possessed them and took over their bodies. When they took over their bodies, they started controlling their minds and started telling what they can do and what they cannot do. They are called from biolifragos, where these death worms are contagious and that contain and that can scare you, and you'll be well aware of. They attack people in their villages, in their homes, and they don't care that they attack you. So I was surprised on these death worms and how they come through. So when they spit the lava on you, the lava contains spicy acid where it takes over your body and controls your mind. These death worms are not to be played with. And I'm telling you, you have to be very alert of these death worms because you never know where they can come from or how they can harm you. These death worms are already returned. They were returned in 1992, where people discovered that they could not figure out where these death worms came from or where they've been tried from. This is an image of a death worm that there was research and that was discovered, and that people were really trying to figure out where did this death worm come from. You have to understand, the death worms are contained of biosis out front, where that they are contagious by being touched. So you have to be very mindful and very careful. The death worms are very contagious and very mind-blowing. Thank y'all for watching my presentation, and I hope that me wrapping it up about me telling y'all where death worms come from, how they are, and what they react to. But just remind you that death worms are very contagious, and you need to be aware. If you were to see a death worm, you need to make sure you evacuate the scene, and just let you know, there's a few more death worms right behind them. They never carry alone. They come in packs, and they come viciously. Remind you see a death worm dripping out that means they ready to take over their prey, and they're ready to divide and conquer and go to their next victim. So if you see a death worm, please, please, please be mindful that they're coming for you and they will come attack you. Thank you for watching my presentation, and that's what my presentation is all about today.